This is why you died.
Hello all and welcome back to This Is Why You Died, the only horror show that knows when there's sanguis, we bibimus, and when there's corpus, we edimus, which is a good thing for today's episode in particular, which promises to be a devil's doozy. Ave, Ave, versus Christos to you all. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, aka your Uncle Frank, and joining me, as always, are the Bishop of Blasphemy, Dan Marcha Madness, and the Vicar of Viciousness, Ryan Ross Live.
I do like
Hello,
the title.
boys.
That's actually my favorite intro for a while.
How's it going,
that's
boys?
probably one of the best. Hey, good,
Oh,
good.
yeah.
That was good.
How we
so
doing?
much Latin.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's very appropriate for our show today. Dan, you've got the prompt. I'm looking forward to telling everyone what we've watched.
No,
and,
it's me
it's
this
a big
time.
one.
It's my prompt this time.
Is it Ryan? Oh,
It
Ryan,
is.
it's right.
It's
Dan,
Ryan.
you're
Ian's
you're
losing
sitting on a
track of the
prompt.
prompts. This is
I'm
like the
sitting
third
on
or
a
fourth
prompt.
episode in a row that Ian's
I
misappropriating
don't know what
prompts.
we're doing. I'm lost. I'm
He
fried.
showed up. He's here.
I'm here, man.
He's in the chair. It counts.
My corpus is here, but it is pretty edimus at this point. Yeah, that's if you know what we're talking about with that Latin stuff, then you know you're in for a treat. We are the horror show that picks prompts at random from the 666 words and phrases in our buckets of the beast, and then we choose and watch horror movies based on those prompts. We come back here to discuss them with you, our dedicated listeners. And as we were just saying, it's Ryan's turn today. He picked a prompt, and you know what? We're gonna it's gonna be a freaking huge episode today because of Dan and what Dan has done. So, boys, would you tell our crowd, our listeners, what is going on? But first, Dan, do the business. Tell them where they can find us, and then we'll get into the show.
Beacons.ai/TIWYD pod is where you can find all things about this show, links to listen to the episode, watch us on YouTube, check out our store, and then you can also join our Patreon.
Patreon? Ryan, tell them about the Patreon.
Oh yeah, we have a Patreon, and it's pretty great. We've got different tiers. You can subscribe and get different benefits based off of what tier you subscribe at. We do extended episodes. We do bonus content. Shout out to Tin Man, who joined us on Dead by Daylight, as well as Hermes.
Yes.
Nice.
And then
great.
Our highest tier is our dedicated benefactor, which allows you a shout out every single episode. So a big shout out to CG.
CG. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is our Patreon. You can check it out. And all of those proceeds not only help benefit the podcast and help us improve, but we've got some checkpoints that allow us to do fun things and look into things like potentially local recording eventually, or doing live recordings that you guys can interact with while we record. Definitely check it out if you're interested. There's a bunch of cool stuff on there, and you can get discounts on merch. So cool.
Yeah, please.
Ooh.
We had to do the business. You know how it works. It's how it works these days. We got to tell you to like, share, subscribe. Check out our Patreon. Check out all of our stuff. That's how it works. But now we've gotten that out of the way. We've told you to do it. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbor's dog about the show, because we are about to talk about some big stuff here. Dan, would you please tell the people what you did to us? And then Ryan, tell them what we're doing today.
Well, Ryan was set to announce his pick for next movie, and I threw out the hex.
You did.
And I threw out the hex, and I threw a wrench in everything, and I made Ryan freak out right there live. And I'm sure it's hilarious if you watch the YouTube episode. But
my eyes got so big.
Well, you also had a really tough prompt too.
Yes,
you had what was your prompt that
originally I had chest.
Right.
And so the hex that Dan chose was he hexed us for a double feature where we have to make it or break it. We're doing either a remake or a legacy prequel, and whether or not that makes or breaks sequel, and whether or not it makes or breaks the series. And I had chest, and I had a plan for options for chest, but out of that plan, I had 3 options, and only one of them had any sort of others around it, remakes, sequels, or otherwise. And I was hesitant to do that one because we've covered it on the show tangentially, and I felt like it might be kind of silly to go that route. And so Ian slashed my prompt in a
I did you a solid
plot twist of the century on top of the plot twist we already had. And then out of all the prompts that I could possibly draw, I got Unborn, which is not easy.
Yeah, out of the frying pan into the fire in terms of difficult prompts. But you know what? To your credit, it is a really funny part on our last show, right at the end, where our show just devolved into chaos. If you haven't heard it, it is pretty funny.
I'm just sweating through my chair. Is the truth?
Yeah, to listen to us all just shitting ourselves, like, oh crap, what do we do now? But Ryan, you did you made good on Unborn on your prompt.
Heavily assisted.
Would you tell? Well, doesn't matter. It's still it all worked out in the end. What are we doing?
We watched for this week's double feature, Make It or Break It, The Omen and the First Omen. The original Omen from 1978, correct?
1976.
And then the First Omen is the legacy prequel from 2024. So almost a solid 50 years between these two movies, which is crazy. And that's what we're discussing today.
Yeah, which is so awesome. I'm so pumped about this. The original Omen, one of the greatest horror films ever made. It's legendary. The performances, the music, like it's iconic. And it has a bunch of sequels. You've got the two film sequels, Omen 2 and Omen 3, The Final Conflict with Sam Neill. Then you have Omen 4, which was a TV movie, which was terrible, and the less we say about that, the better. But then there was also the remake back in like the remake happy early 2000s, 2006. And they relied upon the same kind of thing where like 666, they released it on June 6th, 2006. Waka Waka Waka.
Well, to be fair, like I would do, like golden opportunity.
Brilliant. I mean, it's a layup for marketing.
Yeah.
But that one was with Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles, which is the most 2000s cast you can think of. And then nothing. It just went dormant for another 15 years, or 18 years, I guess, until this prequel came out of nowhere last year. So this is a great
2
one
years
too.
Ago now.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
We're right.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. We're in a new age. But this is exciting because that's, as you said, Ryan, that's a huge amount of time between the original movie and the very unlikely prequel, which goes right to the beginning of that old movie. Like this one leads everything up to it, like the first couple scenes of that movie. So really crazy stuff. But before we start talking about it, guys, I think it's time. We got to hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. All spoilers, including character deaths and plot twists, are now authorized. You have been warned.
Bam, bam, bam. Spoiler warning. That's right. Going forward, we're going to spoil the shit out of The Omen, which is a 50-year-old movie, so no sympathy there. But and then also last year's
newer movie. Yes.
A newer movie. Yeah, only a couple less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years old. So that's going to be a big spoiler. If you haven't seen that one, we are going to discuss the crap out of the movie and spoil the crap out of it. So you have been warned. You've been warned. But that being said, let's hit this, boys. What is our experience with the Omen franchise? Dan, Marcha Madness. I know Ryan's like
Goose
nothing,
egg, baby. I know nothing.
But okay, we'll get to you, RyanRossLIVE. But Dan, what is your experience with the? How many times have you seen the original? How many times have you seen the prequel? What's your experience with this franchise?
I'm in the same boat as Ryan.
Shut the front door.
Way.
Yes.
Wait.
What?
No.
You need to turn in your horror card. You never saw the original Omen?
No, okay, so which movie, I can't remember which movie it was before that we hit this, but The Omen is such a classic that when you watch all those around Halloween times, top 50 horror movies of all time, you know, and they talk, like The Omen's always like in the top 10, and they show a majority of the highlights of the movie.
It was either Hellraiser or Wicker Man that you've talked about this before.
Okay, Wicker Man. I think it was Wicker Man.
Yeah, and it's like even before I saw Wicker Man for the first time when we did watch it, I knew everything that kind of pretty much was happening, or I knew where it was going to go. And the same thing, you know, with The Omen, I knew kind of what was happening, but there was a lot of twists and turns that I didn't realize. And so I think in the back of my head, I thought that I had seen it, but I and after watching it, I'm like, no, this is definitely my first time because there was just a lot of things that I hadn't watched it. Yeah.
And the prequel, I'm assuming, is also your
the
first
prequel.
time.
I had not, yeah, and I know that I know what's funny is like I know that it came out like within months of another nun pregnancy,
Immaculate,
which
with
is
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, which I guess is apparently very similar plot, like almost the same movie. So, but yeah, so like I hadn't watched either of them, and so I was excited to see both of these.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Deep Impact, Armageddon, Braveheart, Rob Roy thing, where they just have like the same movie.
Yeah,
two companies are doing it, and they come out around the same time. But one is a legacy sequel, and the other one was original, for better or for worse. RyanRossLIVE, what did you know about The Omen? Like, how much did pop culture penetrate through to you on these movies?
Never heard of it. Knew
Damien?
nothing.
Never heard of Damien?
Not a Damien?
Not
you
a
never
thing.
heard. What about the soundtrack? It's one of the most famous scores of all time.
I don't think so. I mean,
really?
To be fair, it's not like horror soundtrack or horror music was something that had really permeated into my sphere, other than like the type of stuff that would end up on like Halloween sound mixtape type stuff. But usually those were the really identifiable themes, like Halloween, like the Friday the 13th,
Psycho,
exactly, the ones that have like really distinct sounds. I feel like this one's a very powerful soundtrack, but I don't think that has anything that's like a memorable melody. It's effective at what it does, but like I don't know that it's the soundtrack really stuck out to me as something that like I would be able to sing it back to you after watching.
Oh, that's which is crazy because I absolutely sing this all the time. Not all the time, but you know what I mean. Like I
feel like you're a niche case, my friend. I'm gonna be honest.
That's quite possibly true, but I do feel like it's a very catchy, it's a very singable score. It is a famous score. It is the first horror score to ever win the Academy Award for Best Score. It's the only Academy Award for Jerry Goldsmith, which is insane. That guy made so many iconic scores. Planet of the Apes, Chinatown, Patton, Poltergeist. He did Gremlins. He did Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Air Force One, LA Confidential, The Mummy. I mean, he's been around forever. He's one of the most incredible film scorers of all time. He's one of my favorites ever to do it. And this was the one that got him the Academy Award. And deservedly. It's a fucking amazing score. I think it's one of the greatest horror scores ever made. So it's crazy to me, Ryan, that you said it didn't jump out at you. Or it's also interesting that it didn't penetrate the way that, say, like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street maybe did as well. What about you, Dan? Had you heard this? Like, did the score jump out to you? Had that something you'd heard?
No, once it played again, I remember hearing it because I feel like it is an iconic score. So I've heard it before. I did feel like that it was a bit over the top in times too. Like it felt very like melodramatic, where I was like, this is a bit much, like it just felt too much at times. That's how I felt. I think there was moments where it fit, where it set the tone, and then that iconic part of it that is memorable. But there was some parts where it just felt a bit too much at times.
Honestly, this is a theory I have, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm just going to throw this out there as a theory of one of the things that I've noticed as we've done the podcast, and I've been watching a lot more like older movies mixed with modern movies back to back or in mix with this stuff, is I'm noticing that I think that older movies pre-80s really there's a lot of instances of the soundtrack being really loud compared to like dialogue, and that gap, and that the dialogue itself is usually where there's no music and it's pronounced, but volume wise it differs really greatly from the parts that do have music. And then when the music comes in, it comes in loud. And I think that's just a difference of technical capability and mixing strategy. I think a lot of these were being watched on old television sets where the dialogue was a little bit more brassy and came through the speakers as this kind of more filtered sound vibe. like not to be transatlantic, but like it kind of like just the speaking for the old tube TVs and stuff had more of a brassy sound to them, and so the vocal range kind of hit that brassiness, and the soundtracks were supposed to kind of sit behind that brassiness. Whereas now with modern sound systems, everything's got separate channels and stuff, and so the music comes in, and I don't know if that's I'm purely spitballing here, but that's a theory that I've made.
I mean, maybe it was just overpowering where it felt like it was a bit much.
But to Dan's point, Ryan, did you feel that the music was melodramatic in a way that somehow was took away from the movie, or did you think it was appropriate?
I think that the movie in some ways is a little melodramatic in parts, but I think that the music lent to that. Yeah, exactly. It leaned into itself well. And overall, I think that the drama is earned in the film. So I didn't mind it too much. I thought that it definitely added some gravitas. And overall, this movie does a pretty good job of like earning its gravitas when it uses it. But it definitely, when it does, it leans. It goes like, okay, and now we're getting drama.
Well, and it is even the screenwriter David Seltzer said that like it's kind of goofy stuff. He thought, he was like, I can't believe people are actually scared by this kind of goofy shit. But he's like, hey, whatever sells. But I think a lot of the gravitas is helped. The kind of all that goofy stuff is brought back down by the fact that you have Gregory fucking Peck cast as the main character, Atticus Finch himself, and he actually was out of the game. He thought he was going to retire in 1974, and he came back to do this movie because he got intrigued by the script, because he wanted to play a grieving, guilt-ridden father because his son had recently committed suicide. And he had some stuff that he was working through, I guess, that made him interested in this movie. And great late career turn for him, because he anchors this movie. And I think that because he's one of our greatest film stars, like movie star of all time. And in this film, he absolutely, I think, earns that pedigree, because he takes a lot of the stuff which could be very, claptrappy, and he makes you 100% believe it. Or at least I thought so. What did you guys think about the performances in this movie? Dan, did you like what they did? Like, for example, the nanny, was she too demonic for you? Was she over the top, or did she play her part well?
Oh, I thought she was like, what's a great way to say it? Like, deliciously creepy is a great way to say it. Like, she was just teetered on enough where when she was asking for things or telling what was going to happen, like, you couldn't deny it. Like, you're like, okay, but it was very uneasy until the moment where like she really ramps up.
She loses it.
Really loses it. It's like she loses it, and it gets like it's incredible when that happens. But yeah, I think overall the performances are great. Like,
really quickly on the nanny. On the nanny, Billy Whitelaw, who played the nanny, she's a West End actor, and she was in a play at the time that she tried to get out of this movie. But she couldn't get out of it, so she kept doing this movie. They originally wanted to cast like a Mrs. Doubtfire, kind of like warm Irish nanny. I'll take care of him. Don't you worry about a ting. And then Billy came in and did like this kind of more sinister version, and they were fighting about how they should play it until the end. But the director, Richard Donner, loved her performance so much. He's like, she's so fucking good. I don't care if it's over the top and it gives away the game too soon. She's so good. She's so scary. Ryan, what did you think of the performances in the movie? Like, did anyone stand out to you?
Honestly, I do think I liked both the lead and the journalist a lot. I thought that they were
David
both
Warner.
I love the journalist, and also just like side note, I thought that the whole photo thing, the whole like he can like the photos identify how people like that was good. Such a cool little like subplot.
Creepy.
So unique. I've never seen that done before. It was done to great effect. I loved that little aspect of the whole journalist's journey.
It's an omen.
Yeah.
They were omens.
I love that.
It's an omen.
I love that a lot. I thought it was really, really good. And like, yeah, I think overall, pretty much everyone performs pretty well in this movie. There's a couple things. I think the kid can be hit or miss at times. But like,
he was apparently a real shit on the set. Apparently.
He looks like he is, man.
Yeah.
Look at that face. Yeah, he looks like a little.
He's perfect for this
crap.
role because he looks evil. He's a little shit. You can tell he's a little shit.
He's mischievous.
Well, apparently, one of the reasons he got the part is because during his audition, he beat up Richard Donner. Like Richard Donner, they auditioned him for the scene where he's supposed to be going to the church and he freaks out. He starts beating up his mom, right? That's the scene they used for the audition was like, okay, can you freak out? And the kid apparently like just beat the shit out of Richard Donner. So much he's like, that's it. He's dye his hair dark. He's our Damien. He's a little demon child. He's perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's one way to cast.
That's what. Hey, if it works, it works. And Richard Donner certainly made a career out of it. It's interesting because this was his first major motion picture. He had done some episodes of Twilight Zone, and there's a TV director. It's all he was before this. And this is the movie that took him off. And then after this, it was Superman and Superman 2 and The Goonies and Lethal Weapon, and he's off to the races. But this was the one that kickstarted it all. And you can see, I personally think that the direction is also just flawless in this movie. There's nothing in this I think is extraneous. As much as there are moments that I feel he loses a little bit. I don't think it's because of it's because of his lack of experience, not lack of skill, if that makes sense. It feels like a movie made by a seasoned director. But it's funny because we haven't talked about the prequel, which ties right into this one, and I want to start comparing these two.
Well, before we jump to the prequel, I have one note on the original.
Oh, hit it. Let's go.
In terms of like I do think the direction's very good. The one thing that kind of stuck out to me, I think that's like one of the, in my opinion, probably the one thing that kind of took me out of it that felt like a weaker point in this movie is that I don't remember the name of the priest who comes to talk to him.
Father Brennan?
Father Brennan. Okay, so it is
Father Brennan,
which is the same dude from the prequel. So anyway,
that Ralph Ineson plays in the prequel.
Correct. Yeah, which I thought that was probably the case, but I wasn't sure. So anyway, so Father Brennan comes and warns him and gives him the instructions of go visit this guy in this little town. Yeah. He'll know what to do. And then we go through a series of events very quickly that basically, like, he starts to suspect, he basically confirms, he decides he's going to go on this adventure. And rather than going to the place, we've decided that he already believes, but rather than going the place he's told, he's like, I'm going to go to Rome. And then he goes and he tries to find out the origin of the kid. That makes sense. I can take that as a first swing. Yeah. Like, you want to get the facts or whatever. But the minute that you start going on this wild adventure through the Italian countryside from stop to stop to stop to stop, and it gets creepier and more complicated, everything keeps escalating. It's like, at some point, the decision should be made like, hey, maybe I should follow the initial instructions I was given and go talk to the specific guy from the dude who opened me up to this whole world and clearly knew more than me. Maybe I should just do that. And he's like, no. We'll do that at the end of this whole journey.
Right.
And that was the one that I was like, God, when is he going to actually just put two and two together here?
I kind of interpreted that as him pulling on the thread that was more personal to him first, right? Which was, wait a minute, who is this kid I was given?
Yeah.
And that's what he's investigating first.
And I'm with you. I do think that that's a logical choice, but I think basically the minute that it goes from we're at the hospital's burned down. Now you have to go to this abbey where this old priest was. The priest is half burned to death. He can no longer speak. He's going to send you to a graveyard. Then we go to the graveyard.
Like, at some graveyard.
Point, the graveyard was great, and I'm glad we have the graveyard. But at some point in between stage A and stage C, I would have gone like, hey, this is getting kind of deep. Maybe we should go talk to the guy. Like, maybe, maybe.
I'm already in Italy. Plane tickets cost money even for an ambassador. I don't know what I'm saying. Like, in proximity, he's like, let me stay in Italy on my way to the Middle
Time's
East.
wasting. People are dying.
What do you think, Dan? How did the movie flow for you? Was there anything that was bumpy, or did it flow through all the way for you?
It did. That whole experience that Ryan's talking about between all that's where the movie started to lose me a little bit. Even though it was putting the puzzle pieces together, it did feel like it just kind of was a little slower. It felt like the momentum was starting to slow at that point. And maybe that's purposeful. Maybe it is because, you know, like as you start to really fully understand, you know, who this kid is and what's going on, you know, then maybe it was there just to kind of help you kind of ease and be a part of the mystery. I liked it, but it did kind of slow down in that part for me.
Interesting. So I have to ask this because for me, I watched this movie the first time on television in the mid 80s when I was, you know, single digits. And so this movie just freaked the shit out of me as a kid, as you can imagine. The atmosphere, the music, the kind of portentousness of the whole thing really affected me as a kid. And that graveyard, when they found it, it felt like it was so creepy. The dogs coming out of nowhere and growling at them. And they finally open up the grave and there's like a jackal's corpse in there. And you're like, what does it mean? And it's so creepy without being explicit or gory. It just makes your mind go. And I wasn't raised religious. It was just all so creepy in what now we would call a Lovecraftian way, right? Where it's these bigger forces, these cosmic forces you can't quite understand, and they're conspiring against you. And that was the part of the movie that freaked me out. The death of Father Brennan was burned into my mind as a kid. Why did he suddenly die? Like he was just walking around and all of a sudden the sky opens up and lightning strikes and this piece of the building falls off and just kills the shit out of him in this weird pre-Final Destination kind of way.
Exactly. That's what I just wanted to say, is that like without this movie, you don't have Final Destination. I feel like like the deaths were so creative in here that you were like, you know, as soon as I saw the first one, I was like, oh yes, that's what I do remember it when they talk about this movie in those montage countdowns of like the way that they decided to, you know, the take the people out was so like over the top and creative that it does have that pre-Final Destination vibe to it, definitely.
And actually really quickly speaking on the sequels that we didn't watch, but they get more and more so, where it became a hallmark of the franchise to have these kind of, you know, creative, goony, big grand guignol kills where, and I don't think it was ever better than in this one, where it feels like these, you know, well, obviously the kid runs into her, little shit. Yeah. Runs into her and knocks her off the balcony.
And then
but like
watches
the way
her as she falls Lion King style, long live the king. Like, she's like gripping onto the railing and he's like staring at her like,
hail to the king, baby. Yeah. And like, oh man, that's funny. But then David Warner's yes. And then David Warner's death where he gets like a piece of glass takes his head off.
Oh, and actually, it's the truck, the parking brake just goes like, nah.
Ding. Yeah, exactly. Right. And you know it's coming because he's got the thing in the photograph where it's going to happen to him.
And the fact that it was glass was a cool parallel. I love the fact that in the mirror it was the broken glass. That was a really cool little subtle cross thing too. I love that.
It's a beautifully creative movie, and they did a lot of stuff that you hadn't really seen before. Exorcist obviously was before this, but I feel like this was it's hard to say this, but maybe a little classier. It was done in a really cool way, and I think it was very, very effective. I also really quickly a trivia about that David Warner scene when they killed him. Richard Donner edited it, so he's like, I want them to like turn away and wince because you know he's going to get his head cut off, and then I'm going to give him just long enough to be like, okay, I'm sure it's okay, and turn back around, the head's still spinning in the air. He wants to catch him, you know. So, oh no! Oh, I saw the horrible thing. Oh, it's disgusting. All right, but now let's talk about the prequel because we've got all this stuff in this movie, and comparing this, as you said, Ryan, 50-year-old movie to this brand new movie. There's a lot of themes and there's a lot of how should we say this? Like things that were of the era in the 70s that are not, or they're different in the prequel. How do you guys compare the original and the prequel? What would be like Ryan, for you, what were your initial thoughts seeing the two back to back?
Real quick, but we're going to have to cut this out, but we need to reclap because I just realized that the video, it doesn't have all three audio until right now, but we'll be able to sync it still. But if we reclap now, we'll be able to match it with your stuff from the beginning, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Oh,
I'll just clap. I'm going to
Yes.
assume I know what you're talking about.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Cool. Sorry, continue.
I was just asking you to compare the prequel to the original.
Yes. I think so. Here's the thing with the prequel versus the original, as I think that they're very different movies. It was actually tough in the sense that I expected them to be more paralleled than they were. And I think the second movie is good. I think that the second movie is a lot more modern. And I think that the second movie isn't structured as well as the first movie, in the sense that the first half of the movie, I was like, why are we spending so much time on this girl? And what does this have to do with anything with the Omen stuff? But then the thing is, then in the second half of the movie, it makes good on why we focus so much on that stuff. But it also, in a sense, kind of spoils that, because the fact that you have to ask, why are we spending so much time on this girl, basically implies like, okay, this is gonna, like, in theory, this is going to be important or should be important later, unless there's some crazy thing. And then by the time that then it tries to pull the rug out from under you and be like, oh, she's a second child, and like all of this was a setup and whatever, you're like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. That's why we were spending so much time on her. And it doesn't feel as shocking, because I was already kind of like, something doesn't add up here, because we're spending like, we don't, if supposedly this little girl is the thing, we're spending very little time focusing on her, and we're spending so much time focusing on Marguerite that I'm like, why is Marguerite important? And then it's like, Marguerite's super important. It's like, well, yeah, I got that. Like,
that's why we're focusing on her.
But I guess I know why now.
No, I know what you mean, in the sense that, like, something's up with Margaret from the beginning. It's just a matter of putting two and two together, how exactly she fits into this conspiracy. Is she going to be the father or the mother of Damien, rather? Because they did switch that, right? In the original Omen, the mother was the jackal, according to Father Brennan. Then in the prequel, they switched that, and the father was the jackal or demon or whatever it was.
Because in the first one, he gets cut off, right? He says like, she's the jack, and then they get cut off, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what he said.
Yeah, which I thought was a weird. And then also, in the original movie, Father Brennan was one of the cult members. That's why he had the 666 birthmark, and why he was trying to get himself absolved for his sins. And there is actually a theory that the way that he died, it wasn't Satan that killed him, it was God, because it was finally his comeuppance from God, and that Satan killed David Warner, but God was the one. Anyway, it's all a conspiracy theory. But the bottom line is they don't do a very good job of lining up the plots of the two movies. But going into the prequel that something's up with Margaret. But to your point, Ryan, that it does take a while to kind of get there. But you said you didn't find it intriguing, or like you weren't like captivated by her story?
No,
or it just didn't pick up till the second half? I
was intrigued. I just felt like the first half is a lot slower than the second half. And the second half, once it gets cooking, it gets cooking. Like the second half is good, and it ramps up very quickly. I just felt like the first half, we were spending a lot of time, like, honestly, I can point to, it was about the time that they're like having drinks at the bar out at the party. And I'm like, why the fuck are we here? Like, I get it. Like, she's going to be a nun. Like, we're talking about temptation. Yeah. There's an angle there. But like, we're spending so much time at this club that like, why does this matter? Why are we here? And then later it's like, oh, okay, this is a very important
It's very important. And it's funny because I felt like it was pretty quick. Like they could have really dragged it out more. And they had to spend some time with it to have some of the things later make sense. But I see your point. Dan, was that your experience as well? Did you feel like the first half dragged?
No, I didn't think it. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it was just really kind of exploring her as a character, and comparing both of them. I felt like this took the storyline, and from what I took from it was like it was doing this underlying story of women not having control of their bodies and not being able to, and men dictating what they need to do and what they can do and can or cannot do. That's like this whole overarching thing of it, which is really cool. Yeah. Which is the direction that this went with. Whereas the first one is a very male perspective movie, and it's very much like paranoia and conspiracy, which at the time that it came out makes sense about the era that we were in. feeling that way about the, you know, the government and people watching you, and, you know, privacy and surveillance, all that coming into play. So it makes sense that that's kind of like under you know, arching theme of the Omen, whereas like the first Omen feels very different, you know, in the kind of like the themes that it's exploring.
Much different intention with the movie. I agree. And that's actually something that I wanted to really kind of dial in on, is the contrast between what the point of the first Omen movie was, and then what the point of the First Omen was, because they definitely have different things that they're trying to do. I don't know if there's like some greater theme or meaning to the Omen. I think it just exists as a horror film, and as you say, to make you paranoid and to give you the chills and freak you out a little bit. It certainly isn't a movie about women's agency, because he straight up just lies to his wife about this kid, and he never tells her.
He never feels bad about it. Yeah.
I slipped you a Mickey and gave you a fake baby, but and she was going insane about it too. She thought I hate my own offspring.
Yeah.
And he never
I don't
told
think
her.
It's my child.
Never.
Yeah, and he's like, well, that's so
and
weird.
Then he tells
I don't
the doctor and just like makes, and then like just, I've got to go deal with this. Bye.
And that, which is crazy, because that's the thing in the first Omen, is Dan, nail on the head. It's explicitly about how women's bodies are used by the church, by people in power, and the women themselves have no agency. I mean, as you said, Ryan, it gets really horrific in the second half, and there's some great scenes, but the one that's just, I think it's so explicit, is where they, you know, at the end of the movie, they've torn her open, they've pulled this sack out of her stomach, and they've got these twins now, and they go, yeah, the one's a girl. Oh, the other's a boy! Yay! Oh, we're so happy. The other one's a boy. And they grab the boy and they take him around, and she's just lying there on the table going, help! Help! I'm in pain. And they're like, we don't care. We got the kid. You know, and it's not until she goes, can I hold it? And they're like, oh yeah, it's good for the baby to be held by its mother. They stop caring about the mother altogether.
Yeah.
This is kind of the thing I wanted to really dive into, boys, at this point in the show. I think the first Omen is 1,000% a post overturning Roe v. Wade movie. And I think it's very much like heart on sleeve in that. And Dan, like I said, you nailed it. I think it's very much, that's the point of it. Does that in any way, like, so as a prequel, as something that's, as it relates to the first Omen, does that build on the first, on the Omen movie? Or does that somehow take away from the original Omen? Or is it in a completely separate world? How do we like conceptualize the two different intentions of these two movies? Can they live in their own sphere?
Well, it's interesting because admittedly, I didn't really think about the women angle as much in these films. But the political angle I do think is very prevalent. And I feel like the first one felt, to Dan's point, kind of this like conspiratorial, political, like the biggest things they really hit on the sea of unrest is the sea of politics. We will turn brother against brother. Like this is how you gain power in the modern world, and how you're going to sow unrest and like basically bring darkness to humanity in the end of times. And so it felt very like anti-politics, like the tribalism of people and the separation of parties and all this stuff of like politics are bad. Felt like a big message from the first one. Whereas the second one, I feel like they kind of pulled it a little bit away from the political angle and went more with the religious and generational culture angle of like the young people are upsetting the balance of power, and like the world is changing. We're in this shifting dynamic of what's coming to the world in the new era, and the old guard wants to cling to what was and is going to do anything that they can to maintain that power, which in itself is also a political message, but not in a political sphere. It was grounding it in the religion and kind of like age culture gap more than it was the actual, like, we're going to deal with politicians like the first one did. But that was what stood out to me. Although now that you point out the women angle, I do agree with it in the sense of like, oh yeah, duh. But that was not like the thoughts that I had walking away from either movie. I was very much thinking of like the the power structure and the narratives it was taking in terms of where power sits and how power is affected by different factors, and how portented that was with the events of these films.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they do kind of subvert one of the plot points of the first movie in the fact that in Omen, in the 1976 Omen, the whole plan is Satan's plan, right? It's his plan and then these cult members are just helping him out. In the new one, it's much more conspiratorial because it's actually a subset of the church. You have the two different churches. You have the main church, which it's losing power and it doesn't know what to do, and it's just basically trying to hold on and cling on to the little power it has. And then you have this subset heretical church, which is like, okay, we need to cling on to power no matter what, and we will fucking bring about the Antichrist as long as it allows us to cling to power. And we're going to do kind of like an end of Watchmen thing where we're going to make this apocalypse happen just so that we can stay in power. People will believe in us again, right? Which is insane, but maybe not that unrealistic.
It's very human.
It's
super
very
flawed
human.
logic, but people would buy it. We'll create a problem and then we'll solve that problem. And just the hubris of like, we're not going to be able to solve the problem, but they don't think that. They're like, we'll just create it and then people will believe again. And then we'll then what? We don't know. We haven't gotten that far. We're focusing on this right now.
Yeah, no, but I think you're right. It is about power dynamics as well. And of course, it's from a female perspective. The director was Arkasha Stevenson. She also helped write the screenplay for this movie. It's very much a women front and center movie, even down to the ending where the three of them are in this hut and, Brennan comes along and they're like, you can fuck right off. Get out of here. We don't want to see anybody. Even if you say you're on our side, you can fuck right off. We don't want to do with anyone to do with this power structure whatsoever. Dan, what was the message that you took from the first Omen? Not the 76, but
I'm just laughing because you were describing like the ending of the first Omen, and it just the ending frustrated me. Just the
I'm
last
with
line
you.
of the
I'm
first,
with you on this.
It was so frustrating
Really?
because it felt like it was a note from like an exec that was like, I don't think that the audience is gonna get who this is. I don't think they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
And so they're like, you got to write this in, and like the last line's like, his name is Damien. It's like,
Dun,
okay.
dun, dun,
So
dun.
the first
know.
Omen and the Omen are connected. I get it now. Okay, thank goodness they wrote that last line.
It reminds me of something, Dan, that I heard the other day where Matt Damon said that when you're making movies for Netflix, one of their notes is you have to like state the plot at least 3 different times because people are watching these movies on their phones. And
no, they're
I
on
think
their phones while they're watching. They think that they're distracted.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. They're distracted. And so you have to keep telling them what's going on. Otherwise, they get frustrated with the movie. And I think you might be right. Maybe that stupid last line is a note.
It just felt that way.
That whole scene felt pretty extraneous. It was kind of like,
really?
We're just like, I get the whole, we're trying to give them a somewhat happy ending of like, okay, they all live, they're all a little family together. But like, it kind of beyond that felt pretty purposeless. And to have Brennan come by, like, how the hell did he find them? How does he know where they are? And if he knows where they are, then like the fact that the church hasn't showed up yet is crazy. And then the fact that he's like, his name's Damien, it's like, duh. That's the point of the movie. But then also to your point that we established in the first one, and granted they took some liberties, they changed some things, but we established in the first one that he's got the mark, and then in the prequel we established that all the people with the mark are offspring. That like the only people with marks are direct descendants of this jackal or Satan or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And it's like, in the first one was wondering, okay, is he supposed to be the false prophet? Because they do this whole like, there's the false prophet, there's the Antichrist, and there's the Satan, Dark Lord, whatever the third one is. That's supposed to be the mirror of the Holy Trinity. And so it's like, okay, is he supposed to be the false prophet? And that's why he's got the mark, and that's their vibe they're going with? Because I could see that. But then the prequel doesn't do anything with that. And we have no reason, there's no point in which we would establish that he has the mark. Like, he's a key character. He helps figure out all this stuff. That's just a completely ignored point, which I was disappointed in.
I have to admit, that was one of the things that disappointed me about these two movies in comparison to each other, is that his character is they do a bit of a whitewash of him in the prequel. And then if you go watch the prequel straight into the original 76 version, which I did, it's what I did. I watched them in chronological
in
order.
reverse order. Yeah,
Okay.
And it didn't hold up so good.
Well,
because
he'll come across insane if you view it that
Yeah.
way. He goes from like really on top of his shit and figuring all this out to like losing his goddamn marbles in the original.
you need to eat the blood of Christ and
Yeah.
taste of his flesh. Otherwise, there's no saving you. And suppose, he's riddled with cancer and he's taking all this morphine. But to go from Ralph Ineson, who could read the dictionary and I would be in rapt attention, his voice is that he's that guy with that voice. He's been in so many things with that voice. And so hearing him talk and you're like, okay, you know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, totally. And then you go from him to the original guy who's just kind of like, sweaty and twitchy and everything. It doesn't, even if you say, oh, he's high, it doesn't flow.
Well,
it doesn't make no sense.
Honestly, at that point, just establish it in the prequel. Like, have a point where he realized he has cancer. Give him some morphine. Like, do anything to trickle that in. And they didn't do anything. But I will say, to your point with the Ralph Ineson thing and I don't remember the guy, the Game of Thrones guy, but that opening scene where they're talking to each other,
Charles Dance,
just delectable to listen to. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Just their two voices going back and forth. I was like, yes, I'm already in.
Little trivia, both of those guys from Game of Thrones, the main character, Nell Tiger Free, who, by the way, can we shout out her performance in this movie?
She's so good.
Holy
so incredible.
Fucking shit. She's so good in this movie. And she has that great freak out where she becomes pregnant in the street.
Oh,
that amazing, like, freak out moment.
Amazing.
Which, if I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie or heard of it. Possession, Dan. Possession.
Totally I was like, this is Possession, right?
And they explicitly said that was what they were referencing there. They've got Jacob's Ladders references in this movie. They've got they've got some serious horror pedigree with the inspirations in this movie. But that one scene where she's freaking out is in an incredible scene. She was also on Game of Thrones. She was Marcella Baratheon, Charles Dance's daughter.
Oh, really? I forgot.
The one that ends up marrying the Baratheon kid.
Oh,
so yeah.
Oh.
So she was also on Game of Thrones.
See, because I totally forgot about that, even though I'd seen all of Game of Thrones. But where I'd known her from, and where I really enjoyed the show was Servant, which was an Apple series, and she was on that. And that was it. That was really, really good, and that had a lot of like really creepy elements too. That was a good series. And she's great in that. She
is great, and this whole cast is great. Sonia Braga as the creepy old nun who like came out of nowhere. I don't know what she's been up to for the last 30 years, but she's back and kicking ass. Bill Nighy randomly showing up, Davy Jones himself. And it's just, okay, Bill Nighy's here. Great. The gang's all here. All right. So before I do that, here's my final question about these two movies.
Okay.
There's so much to talk about. It's hard to organize my thoughts this episode because there's just so much to talk about. I still think Dan chose this movie. That's how out of it I am. Great choice, by the way, Ryan. Which is the better horror movie? Which of these two movies is the better horror movie? And if the other one is not horror, then what is it? Like, how do we define these movies? They're both quote unquote horror movies. Which one's more horrific?
I know.
Go ahead, Ryan. Go after you then.
Ryan,
you have a stronger answer than me.
Dan, get it.
I think The First Omen is a stronger horror film. I think that there are. I mean, granted, each of them have death scenes. I think that The First Omen goes over the top. Like they're like, oh, we see you, the Omen. Let's raise the stakes if we're gonna do it the right way. And I mean, even one of the early deaths that's a callback. The hanging, jumping, and it's like, and it was like, all right, we saw what you did in The Omen, but let's just set this one on fire, know. And it's just like, it's like it's insane. There was 4 times that I was just like, I'm like watching it. We had a little bit, watching this movie. We had a double feature, but I was just like, getting a little tired, and then I'd be like, oh my god, what are we watching? What's happening? My jaw on the ground, multiple times. So and I think that The Omen definitely has those elements, and like when the deaths occur, they're very shocking, but they kind of feel like they're coming. Whereas in the First Omen, sometimes they just kind of come out of nowhere, and they were very well done. And it's just like there's a switch that happens kind of halfway through this movie where you can even tell in like the way that they lit the movie that everything just gets darker and the dread just keeps coming in. Like everything's more red and really like deep, dark, look to it. And I felt more like the First Omen's more of a horror movie.
Ryan, before we get your answer, Dan, I gotta jump on two things that you just said there. One is the hanging, it's all for you scene, right? Which we've seen in so many Omen movies and in the remake. And for me, the only one that ever nailed it was the first one because of how sudden it is. It comes from this like happy, playful little thing. And then you just hear her calling. And then eventually you discover her on top. Yes. Damien, it's all, she's smiling. It's me, all for Damien. You. Oh, and then she just jumps off, and it's so sudden it goes completely quiet. And then they come back in with this insanely loud crash as she goes through the window. And you even cut to the servant inside screaming as her body it's so violent the way it gets flung inside. It's brilliant. I've always held that up as one of the most shocking scenes in horror cinema history because it comes, the way that they build up to it and the way that they actually play it is so fucking good. And they've never gotten close. Even in the remake, it was so bad compared to that because they could not make it punch you in the face like that. And Dan, I think you nailed it. That scene in this one, they one-up it, and that's kind of we have to one-up that other scene.
Yeah.
Nailed it. I love what they did with it in this. But then you mentioned how things look in the First Omen. Can we talk about how good this movie looks?
Did they shoot this on film or not?
I don't know if they shot it. That's a great question.
I
don't know if they shot it on film.
Curious.
I would not be surprised, but honestly, not only just the cinematography in this movie in general, in terms of like the color grading, the shot composition, but they do some really cool visual metaphor stuff in the First Omen constantly. And I was catching all these really cool little like, oh, that framing is very intentional. Of like the first time you meet the Clarita. Is it Clarita?
The little girl.
Carlita?
Yeah.
Carlita.
The little girl.
I mixed up the where the L was. Carlita,
so creepy.
The very first time you meet her, they do this whole thing where she's just over the bed and then they lower the camera and she literally becomes a monster under the bed visually. So cool. Yeah. Such a cool little, like, we're literally looking under the bed at her. Yeah. There's a scene where she's praying. There's a bunch of cool stuff when she's praying in different shots. But one of them was she's praying in the church and the candles create this jaw and the lanterns make eyes. And she's literally, the jaws are clamping on her. And then they mirror that in the drawing later, which was crazy and super cool. But also, one of the first times I noticed it was when she first gets to the house before she has that little vision of her robe turning into one of the nuns coming after her with the jump scare with the curtain. When she starts praying, the two windows are lit totally different colors. Of you've got daylight sunlight coming from the one that she's facing, and you've got this dark window off to her right, and it's literally like the angel devil shoulder arrangement of the way that she's praying.
I didn't even notice.
And I was like, that is so sick that we have like this dynamism of the lighting of this shot. There's so much cool cinematography, like visual metaphor shit going on in the First Omen. That was just absolutely chef's kiss.
It's completely chef's kiss. I wanted to eat this movie. Like the texture on the walls. They shot this on location in Rome and in the countryside. Like they found a couple of buildings that they made it all look like one building, but this was shot on location in real locations. That's why the walls just had that incredible texture. But the texture of the light in this movie, the things that Stevenson does with her light is just absolutely gorgeous. And I've never heard of her cinematographer, Aaron Morton. Never heard of him. But I know that Stevenson was a photojournalist before she got into film. So she knows about light. She knows about photography. And you can completely tell because she plays with light in this like an absolute master. It's so
sick.
Beautiful. But Ryan, does that make it a better horror movie than the original Omen?
So this is a tough question because I feel like they're very different. I feel like The Omen feels like an old-fashioned horror movie. It's slower, it's more suspenseful, it builds and builds, and we've got these reveals. But honestly, I wasn't as scared. Whereas the modern one, I feel like pacing-wise doesn't do as well. I think the first half of the movie drags, and the second half of the movie just takes off, which I like that second half a lot more. But the second one had a lot more like actual uncomfortable, horrific moments for me. The hand coming out during the birth scene, brutal. Absolutely brutal. All the visions that she's having and stuff, like those were more jarring, more horrific scenes for me. And like from an impact standpoint, I felt like it was a scarier movie. Do I think that's a better horror movie? I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I feel like the first movie feels like a better packaged piece. The whole thing works together better. But the second one, I think, has higher highs, but isn't as consistent throughout. And so it's really hard for me to make one call over the other. I think overall, I liked the second one better in terms of like moments. But, and like, I think that, and part of that is I think that it's had 50 years to learn. That's always tough too, of the fact that we're like, like it has a distinct advantage, right? It's very much easy. It's clearer. The audio's better. We have way better makeups and effects. We've learned a ton about cinematography. Like, it's hard to put one to one. But like, despite that, the 70s one is a really cool story. And it like the way it all pieces together over time and the way that all these things occur is good. It just movies that old can feel cheesy. And they weren't as good at scaring people in the 70s, I think, in terms of like, we've gone, what I mean to say is, we've covered this before in the sense that we have broken down doors over the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that are now open in the modern era that were not in 78. And so like the head coming off, we have what kind of looks like a cheesy dummy head with like a rubber stump neck. And like, yeah, it's a cool death, but it isn't particularly scary because it looks like a dummy. In modern stuff, where we've got blood gushing and a pool, and like we rip Paolo, we rip his torso off of his leg.
My God.
that scene is so
good.
One. That I don't know. That one almost broke the movie for me because I laughed so hard.
I mean,
She's like,
I don't think
I'll
that's a
help
good
you,
example.
Paolo.
Yeah,
I'll get you unstuck. Pop.
I don't think that one's a great example of a horrific moment, but I'm just comparison like the actual like makeup and stuff. Like it looks scarier than the beheading, despite the fact that the beheading is a lot more effective, scary kill in terms of context. And so it's hard. I don't know that I can distinctly say one's a better horror movie. I can say the prequel like made me more uncomfortable. But I liked the story of the first one better. So,
well, that's, you know what? That's about as good an answer as you could possibly get. I mean, it says that they're both completely effective.
Yeah.
And it speaks, I got to say this before we jump into some of our segments here. It speaks really fucking highly of a legacy prequel sequel. This is kind of the point of this whole Hex, right? Like what are we doing with these later movies? How do they hold up to the originals? We're talking about it in the same context as one of the most legendary horror movies of all time, and we're not taking a shit on it. Mm-hmm. That alone is a giant thing. So many legacy sequels are completely unworthy of what they're coming after, and I think it's safe to say the First Omen is an absolutely worthy follow-up to the original Omen.
Well, now, on that note, Dan asked, did it make it or did it break it? I think we have to answer that, right?
I agree. Did it need to be from the original Omen, or did that pull it down somewhat? Mm-hmm. And that's something I think that we're going to get to when we get to our Scullies. But first, fuck that guy. Who do we give the fuck that guy award to in the Omen movies? I say we try to find one person between the two movies to give it to.
We got to do one
because there's
each.
So many.
They're separate movies.
There's so many.
No, we got to do one each.
They're your movies, Ryan. If you want to get two guys to get the what do we call it? The Guy Woodhouse Award.
Guy
Woodhouse Award, motherfuckers. All right. Well, then take it away, man. Ryan, who do you give the Guy Woodhouse Award to in Omen and the First Omen?
Nanny. Bylock. What's her face? She
Blaylock, whatever. Yeah.
sucks. Baylock. Yeah. Baylock is the worst. She's got a fucking hellhound that she's keeping in the house. And she is absolutely an apostate of hell. She's creepy. She gets out of every scenario. They're like, where did everyone else go? And she goes, oh no, they just left. No worries. I've got it. Yep. I have all the answers all the time. Don't you worry. I'll take care of the kid.
I come with many references.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Well, how about the First Omen? Who fuck who in the First Omen? I mean, I've got a couple of really good
like
nominees.
There's more options in the First Omen than in the other one. Honestly, though, I'm gonna
fuck everyone in that movie.
I think I'm gonna be honest. The one that felt the most personal, the one that hurt, the one that really, it's the roommate.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The betrayal.
She's awful.
I just spit for that betrayal. That's how I felt. That tea had some. I didn't mean to, but damn.
Interesting.
Yeah. Dude, as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh yeah.
What do you mean interesting? Do you disagree?
No, I mean yes. I do. I think of somebody else for that.
More than okay. I mean, let's talk about our big ones. Who are the big people that we hate? Sister
Bill
Silva,
Nye.
right? Bill Nye, because he raised her from a child, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have you get raped by the devil, and then I'm gonna tear the like.
You're so special,
man.
That's my choice. That's
Bill
my
Nye.
choice. Bill Nye. Yeah,
I do think he's an option.
From her orphanage, like from that moment, he chose like to bring her in through this whole entire thing,
so
and like
good
dictate her life.
You.
Yeah. But here's the thing. He's definitely a candidate, but I feel like he's like, you see him coming, like, like, as warm and inviting as he is in this movie, like, you're like, oh, you're up to some. I just know you're up. You are a male who's high up in the clergy. You're definitely up to some bullshit. You've got
too much power to be innocent.
Yeah, not the fun, cool roommate. You don't see her coming from a mile away. You don't expect a Serena.
She seemed to almost be coming on to her. I thought that there was going to be like a romance at one point. It seemed like there might be like hints of like her making moves at Marguerite. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're just not doing that. And then I was like, oh, now I know why. Goddamn.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that moment where where she has the birth scene and you look over and her roommate's just sitting there going, yep, this is cool.
Terrible.
You. Oh, yeah, that made me so mad. I forgot she betrayed her.
She stabs her.
Right, that's right. And then she stabs her afterwards.
Does stab her.
And the only thing that we can say is she gets burned in the hospital. So at least there's that. I think between the two movies, right? Doesn't she die? I don't know. I think she does. Now, I got the impression that there might be a sequel to the prequel because they did leave some open threads at the end.
Yes.
Like there's the twin, Damien's twin, who's still alive. And
I wondered what the point of that was other than to just leave a loose end.
And we might see there might be something more that they want to do with Father Brennan between the prequel and the original, because there is that 4 or 5 year stretch, right, where he doesn't come after Damien right away.
Yeah.
He waits till Damien is of a certain age, and then he goes and talks to Gregory Peck.
Well, and
by
also,
that point, he's all crazy.
We've got the 3 sisters, all of which are spawn of this jackal demon Satan thing, and they're all 666. So we've got 3 666s, which feels important.
Only one of them is like the double child, where it's the jackal producing a child with his own child.
Yes.
Right, the incestual thing. Then
but the fact that there's 3 sisters and 3 6s, and they're all that feels intentional.
It's a coven. Now we have a coven.
We've got witches.
Now we've got the coven. We've got the witches. That's right. That's power right there. That's power. All right. This is why you died. It's the name of the show. We got to find the Omen series is known for its cool kills, so this should be a fun one. Lots of options of people who died in the Omen and the First Omen. RyanRossLIVE, it was your choice. Go ahead, tell us why someone died in the Omen or the First Omen, or both.
I'll do one each. We got it. Each movie deserves their own picks. So, for the Omen, I'm going to go the journalist. Like, look, man, I get it. The knives are important. You're having a fight. The dude's going through it. He has to kill what he thought. Although I do think that the fact that he like starts to doubt himself, like a scene ago, he's like, he has to die. And then they're like, you have to stab the kid. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It's like, what did you expect? Like, what? What were you planning on? But the doubt thing felt very like kind of shoehorned. But the fact that they're having this fight and he throws the knives, I get that the knives are important. I get that you have to go get them. But like, just give the guy a moment. He's probably going to come around. You don't have to be like, then I'll do it myself. And man, let me go gather up the knives after we've gone on this adventure together. Like, be a little patient. If you had just given the guy a moment to breathe, you would have been fine. This is why you died. But then I would say the new movie, The First Omen, honestly, Paolo, dude, I get it. I'd be freaked out too. I wouldn't want to talk to her either. But, maybe when you say stop following me and you're doing the whole thing, maybe just make sure you're still on the curb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because stopping in the middle of the street anywhere, especially in Europe, it's just a really bad plan.
What? When did Europe get thrown under the bus here?
Dude, I don't know if you've been to Italy or Greece or any of these Mediterranean like highways. The roads there are crazy. They're
tiny.
They're very small, and there's a lot of people on them, and there's not really traffic lights. It's like everyone's moving.
I usually don't drive.
There's just like everyone. It's kind of like the footage you see of like some of the Middle East, like India and stuff, where all the cars. It's a flow state that you're entering in and out of. You do not want to be in the road. The road is not a safe place to be.
Oh my god.
Oh my God! Paolo forgot he was in his city that he grew up in. You forgot you were in Rome.
He
Paolo.
was not paying attention to where his feet was, and he was too busy paying attention to the woman chasing him. That's why he died.
DGAF in Rome. Oh, Paolo, poor guy. Yeah, I've got to say, man, I agree with you on David Warner. He looked at the back of that truck, and the thing, David Warner, that you have to remember on the back of a truck, there are 4 lights. 4 lights. And if they're not on, you're dead. By the way, that's a Star Trek reference for anyone who keeps track of David Warner's career. And in the First Omen...
Me neither, Dan. Don't worry. Dan and I are going, sure, Ian, go ahead.
Okay, Star Trek, sure. Yeah. By the way, it's one of the best episodes of Star Trek. It's where the Cardassians capture Picard, and they torture him. And it's David Warner and Patrick Stewart the entire episode, basically just having an incredible, like British actor off. It's just outstanding.
Cleo or Khloe Kardashian?
No, not Khloe Kardashian.
Joke, yes.
The Cardassians. God damn it!
Dan did. That's amazing. That never happens.
That hurts. It hurts so bad. It threw me off of what I was going to say. Why someone died in the First Omen? It hurts so bad.
You got the First Omen.
The First Omen. I'm going to say who's the sister who threw herself off there? It's all for you. What was her name?
Jacqueline
sister
or something?
Angelica? Something like that.
I'll check.
She died because we have to have some callbacks in prequels. In legacy sequels and prequels, we have to have callbacks. And sorry, lady, you were the sacrificial lamb in this movie. To call back to the original Omen, you were the one who had to one-up one of the greatest scenes in horror history.
That's a good
throw
point.
Yourself off of the balcony.
It is Angelica.
Oh my God, Angelica.
Dan Marcha Madness, tell us why someone died in the Omen and the First Omen, you Philistine. God damn it.
In the Omen, when there's a lightning storm, don't just keep looking up, man. Like, you just kept looking up, and he screamed, we cut back and forth to that pole falling like twice.
Moved.
He had time to move.
Dude,
he had time to move.
Did you ever see what was it? Alien Prometheus? Prometheus, right? The Charlize Theron.
The Prometheus school of running away from things.
Mm-hmm. Run right or left. He literally, dude, this is why you died. You can't take a step it's a foot to the right. And then a to the left.
It was just like, he looked up and he was just like,
expecting today.
Ah! It's just like, there's something falling at me.
Yeah. It's coming right for us.
That happens in the First Omen too, at the beginning. Ironically, he doesn't move then either. He looks up and he sees it, and he looks, and then but
what I love about that one is that they slow down time to make you realize that it happens instantly. That's like it's like whoosh, like what just like before you even know what happened.
Right.
You like I think that they got hurt. I think it does it well. It's almost like it fixed it. It was like, what was kind of wrong with the Omen was like that pole fell for like a long time. He probably got a little too high up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can fall a little shorter distance.
They found the right actor for it because all he needed to do was take a look at his last name and he could have survived because he didn't dance out of the way of the falling pole.
Wow.
And that is why he died.
So my choice for the First Omen, oh shoot, I had it and I totally forgot.
Well, I thought you were saying Charles Dance, that he died for the same reason. Is that he
I made the parallel.
Dan, you have another one. First Omen. Quite a few people died in this movie. We had Paolo. I got Paolo, or he got Paolo. I got Sister Angelica. Who else passed away in this? Let's see.
There's
Charles Dance. That's about it. No one else really. Everyone else makes it to the. Everyone else makes it up to the first movie.
There's a bunch of babies.
I guess
that's true.
So.
Bunch of dead babies.
Yeah. Oh,
a lot
that's
of dead
really
babies.
Sad. That's why they died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gotta be another sister or something, right?
Well, like, there's who else? Somebody else died, right?
The jackal.
The driver. The poor driver.
Oh, the driver. Yeah, he gets
dead.
And the other father that's in there, the other priest dude, both die in the accident.
True.
We assume, I guess. I guess we didn't really find out if the other guy dies.
I'm going to throw this in with Ryan. Watch out for those European drivers.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, they're crazy, man.
For the record, that's not what I said, but
I mean, it's not far off. It's not far off. The First Omen, a movie warning you about European drivers. Driving in Rome is a dangerous pastime. Go watch The First Omen, and you will agree. Scully time. Let's rate these movies. This is going to be.
Did Nahi die? Was Nahi your choice?
Yeah.
With the knife?
No, my choice because with the whoosh.
Oh, he got stabbed in the neck.
Yeah,
but did he die? Did he die?
I have to imagine.
I thought he just died. I thought he died like right there.
She got stabbed. She lived.
Yeah, but that's not in your carotid artery.
Well, I don't know. He's made a deal with Satan. Maybe I don't know.
You make a good point. Who knows?
Who knows? They could have him come back in the
sequel prequel.
The sequel. Yeah, that's possible. I'm just saying. It's Bill Nye, man. Man sells a movie.
That's how he became Davy Jones.
Called the second First Omen?
The second First Omen will be the sequel to the prequel.
Well, what's the sequel of the original Omen? Is it just Omen 2? Or
technically, the sequel to the First Omen is the Omen.
So it's got to be so it would have to be the second
sequel,
Omen.
The sequel.
Because if there's the Omen 2, now we've got the second Omen.
But it's the Omen. This is the First Omen, not the First Omen. This is the First Omen. But then you'd have the second First Omen before the first.
Who's on first?
Damn it. And then there's Damien, Omen 2, and then there's Omen 3, the final conflict. Omen 4, the awakening. And then now this is the First Omen.
And then it would be the second Omen.
So do these sequels deal with the presidency? Because I mean, they assume it looks like he's going into the White House.
So Damien,
which also is so dumb.
You didn't like that.
I mean, I think it made sense. I felt like it was just like, oh, of course. Like the fact that it's like, there are two coffins there.
In the second movie, in Damien Omen 2, he's been adopted by the friend of Gregory Peck's character.
Yeah, the old
also,
roommate.
I think, a senator, but he's not the president. Or is he the president? I don't remember. Well, I think he's just a senator. In the second.
The implication at the end of the first movie is that he's with the president of the United States.
Right.
I'm trying to remember.
They said that they were former roommates.
Yeah, well, he's going to grow up and assume the presidency, but it's just he's still like, a privileged white boy in high society in America. Mm-hmm. So he's, it's kind of the implication. But then the second one, he's a teenager, and then the third one, he's Sam Neill, and he's grown up, and he's the president, and then shit just gets weird. That's the third act of Omen 3 is just an atrocity. But The third act of this show is where we rate the movies. It's time to rate the movies.
There he is.
Ryan Ross Live, your choice today. You are the first on the block to give The Omen and The First Omen Scully Award ratings. What do you give to these two movies, sir?
I think you guys are going to be upset. But
I'm curious.
Here's the thing. I liked The Omen. I think that it is a very effective movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's particularly scary. And I think that, like, it's long. And it does what it does well, but I don't think it's outstanding in a lot of ways. I think it was just, it was a good movie. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Oh, God. Jesus.
I liked it. I enjoyed it, but, like, you know, it didn't feel like it stood out to me. I think honestly, the thing that excited me most about the movie was the photography thing. The photography thing was sick. I thought it was such a cool little subplot. I thought it was so original. But like, the rest
cool
of the
enough
movie
to give it
felt,
an 8.
the rest of the movie just kind of felt like it all just kind of led one thing to another. And honestly, the First Omen, I think that it's tough because I think the first half of the movie really weighs it down for me, and the second half of the movie is really what where I think the value of the movie is. I think that the cinematography is incredible. I think that the acting is good throughout, and I think that this one had a lot of higher highs in terms of it made like the claw, the stuff that they did with the club lighting and like her being lowered into this tunnel. Like, they did a lot of really cool stuff that had really uncomfortable higher moments for me, but there was a lot of stuff that I was like, well, they either left this out, or I felt like this felt extraneous, or they left some loose ends untied. That it was also just, it was good. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was good. I think it's a 7.5 and an 8 for me.
Wow.
Between the two.
What, just out of curiosity, Statman, what other horror movies had you given a 7.5 to? I just want to know what you're comparing.
Triangle.
Okay. Ouch.
Fall.
Oh, God.
Gerald's Game. And
Really?
Psycho.
And you gave Psycho a 7.5?
I did. And honestly, I think actually, now that I think about it, I like Psycho's a great example of like, Psycho's good. He has some really iconic stuff, but it's also slow. And like it,
oh,
you know,
my God.
I stand by it. Oh, I gave Pontypool a 7.5 as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's the vein.
Well, Dan, Marcha Madness, how many Scullys do you give to these two movies?
Oh man, you know, I was definitely pleasantly surprised by The Omen, but it was very slow. It also felt slow to me. Like it was but I feel like it still kept the mystery going, and it still kept like the interesting, like, out there deaths kind of coming. So like you still were, you know, and as the story unraveled and I saw what they were doing with it, I just thought it was like really, I was in it. It was cool, but it still just felt like it is one of those classic horror movies, but it just didn't scare me. Like Ryan was saying, like if a horror movie's gonna be a horror movie, like I want it to like bother me, or I want it to really get under my skin. And like it felt like the deaths, you knew they were coming because they, like, you know, they hinted at them, and they were, you know, it was part of the plot was that were some of the, you know, like to hint at these deaths and then carry them out. So I'm gonna go 7.5 as well too on that. Yeah.
Goodness. All right.
I mean, I see the influence that it's had, you know, but again, it didn't really hit as hard as the first one. And I really enjoyed the First Omen, and I'm going straight down and copying Ryan on that. I'm going to go with an 8 on this too. I think that I think that the First Omen is shot very well. I think that it uses the theme. I think that this is what I was going to say in the past, and glad I'm bringing it up now in my Scullies, but I think that the reason I wanted to bring up this hex was, like, you know, the idea of legacy sequels is very, you know, has become really like popular over the past 10, 20 years in horror. since the early 2000s, like bring them back, redo these classic 80s. And it just feels like, they either come in and they really drop the ball and they fail, or they come in and they can do something different. And I think that what makes a successful legacy sequel, or in this case, a legacy prequel, is it took the core concept of what made that movie great, but then found something new within it. And I think that that's why this legacy prequel is a success, is that it still connects the two stories and is still within those two worlds, and tells this crazy subplot to bring the Antichrist into the world, but it really uses those themes to talk about women not having agency over their lives, and the men and the people in power dictating what happens to women's bodies. And I think that just was just so powerful, and it's still prevalent these days, and was just really strong. So that's why I feel like it just hits stronger for me, why it gets higher. But I really enjoyed the First Omen, and God, man, that ending is just disgustingly horrifying, man. That whole birth sequence is man. When they took out the pod thing, I was like, what is gonna be inside there? It was just, and then they pop it. Was terrified. It's it's just like
it's so satisfying.
It's terrifying. Yeah,
it's delicious.
Gross.
And it's funny because I love the atmosphere of that scene where they show you a couple of up close incisions, but they don't really show you anything. Is that long tracking shot where you're seeing everyone's faces, and then you just hear the sounds and her moaning and crying for help. Somebody help me, it hurts. And that's all it is. There's no soundtrack. It's just clank, clank, clank. And then there's no music that comes back. Nothing comes back until they pick up the male child, until they pick up Damien. And then that Jerry Goldsmith theme kicks in for the first time. Dun, dunny. Right. Yeah. And that's when it kicks back in. The music kicks back in. But it's so uncomfortable up until that point. And also, like we were talking about, the scene where she's getting pregnant on having and her water breaking at the same time on the sidewalk, and she's just flipping out.
Although to your point, the water breaks and then they're like, and the amniotic sac is still intact. It's like, that's what water breaking is the sac breaking. So,
What? Well, there seemed like there was a lot of stuff going on inside her at that point.
Yes.
And
none of that is all normal.
Of it. Nothing was normal there. I mean, it was definitely a nod to Possession, because it was red and white stuff coming out of her at that point, just like in that scene in Possession. But as far as Scullies go, I'm going to bring all of the averages up, because I personally think that the original Omen is one of the most perfect horror films ever made. And I know you guys didn't think it was scary, but let me tell you, when I watched it as a kid, it scared the absolute fucking shit out of me. There's a dread to this movie when you watch it. I mean, and again, this kind of shows on the show what the difference is between seeing a movie when it comes out and not seeing it until the modern era. And some of these older movies, we go watch movies that freak people out back in the day, like the Hammer Frankenstein, or let's go back to the Universal Frankenstein. Jaws scared the shit. I mean, Jaws still has some pretty damn good scares.
Jaws still scares me.
That still has some good shit. Of course you have. Yeah, but one day you will. One day you will. And you'll see. It's a damn good movie. But the point is that things that used to scare us don't scare us anymore. But I can speak to the fact that the Omen, the original Omen, is a fucking scary movie. It was very effective when it came out. I still feel a lot of that residually when I watch it, and that dread and that horror and just the pacing of it. To me, it feels relentless. It feels inevitable. And I love that about it. And there's so many good moments in it, classic, iconic moments. I don't think it's a perfect movie. It has some plot holes and whatnot, but it's a 9.5 for me. It's an all-time classic. I can't hear that theme without getting fired up. I'm going to watch a capital H horror movie, which is why I didn't expect to like the Legacy prequel. I was going to say sequel, but the Legacy prequel. I automatically assume Legacy prequel sequels are going to suck, because 90% of the time they do. They're not made with this kind of artistry or this kind of intentionality or this kind of thought and care. The First Omen is shocking. What a good movie. It has no right to be as beautiful as it is, as horrific as it is, as powerful as it is, as meaningful as it is. And yeah, it has a couple of stumbles. The ending is, you know, like we said, the ending's a little questionable. His name is Damien. No shit, Sherlock. Yeah. We know, right? It's got some stuff that isn't perfect. The script, I was listening to some moments with the dialogue, and I was like, you know, if this wasn't directed so well, this would be really cringy dialogue. If they didn't nail this would all be very awkward. But the performances, the direction of the movie raises it up. And I think the biggest flaw with it is that it has to relate to The Omen. If they had this movie free and clear, doing its own thing, and not had it relate to Satan or to The Omen or Damien or anything like that, it would have been a better movie for it, I think. And I don't know, that might be a hot take, because there's definitely some things in it that have more weight because we know what comes next. Right. But I think it would have been an even more effective movie if we didn't see some of the stuff coming. So that's, I think, the big flaw of the First Omen, but it's shocking what a good movie it is. And I'll still give it an 8.5, just because I think it's a really, really strong, really amazing movie. And even watching it a second time, I was blown away at how much I liked so much of it. Okay, your guys are going to get a kick out of this, but averaged out, that means that we rated the two movies the same.
Oh, nice.
Because
when Dan and I both rated it lower, but you rated the first one higher, and then the second one were closer, and so they average out, even with like the unfiltered, unrounded number, to the same thing.
Well,
how appropriate. How appropriate. Perhaps Satan was involved in making that happen?
So I think that we can pretty safely say it sounds like we think that the sequel makes it to varying degrees. I think it barely makes it. But I think it makes it rather than breaks it. Put it this way, I don't think it breaks it. But my big beef with the Legacy prequel is honestly, it's less because it's an Omen it doesn't
sequel.
need to make a movie that was already what it was.
Yeah, it would have been better if it had nothing to do with the Omen, I think. But it doesn't break the original Omen at all. I don't think it breaks the original. I think it's a worthy follow-up to it. I just think as on its own, it would have been better without being related to the Omen.
And Ryan, I think I might have said, I'd have to go back, I could be wrong, but I think it was not only make it or break it, but it was more like resurrected or rejected was like some words I said it. So it was like, should we have brought it back?
Sure.
Did it do something?
Well, how about this question?
Or should it just stay dead?
How about this question? This is the big one, right? Because the only reason that they want to bring this franchise back is to bring the franchise back. Do you want to see more Omen movies? Do you want to see the sequel prequel? Do you want to see a sequel to this? Like, does it bring back the franchise?
I think it did a good job as a standalone. I don't know if I want to see more. But also, I haven't seen the other Omen movies, so I don't know how strong those stand. But honestly, even then, I think that the first one was they both feel strong by themselves. I don't think we need extra.
I think there's more story to tell. I think that they left it in a place where they could continue, and I wouldn't mind it. I'd be curious to see where they take things, especially if it's the same crew making it.
If they do, I hope that they pick up some of the threads that they left behind, because I feel like there was definitely some left on the table with the prequel.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And even to your point with the heavy exposition, one of the scenes where it's the three of them, the father, Brennan, and Marguerite, when they're first doing all the files, it does feel a little Netflix exposition-y like. And then
that scene, I thought you were gonna cause some grief with that, Ian, because like I was watching this. Now I'm watching movies and being like, is Ian gonna get upset with this exposition? But like that scene,
we have each other in mind as we watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That scene, I was just like, wow, they're really just laying down the plot. Like,
we must describe the plot.
Where we're at. This is what this means. This is what this means. You know.
To that point, Dan, I was thinking of Ryan in the original Omen when Damien's winding up in his room and he's driving his tricycle in a circle, right? He's winding up, and then she lets him out, and he goes down the railway and runs into his mom and knocks her off. I was like, this is going to take. Ryan's going to be bored out of his mind. Get on with it.
That killer. He winds up for a long time, but to be fair, I distinctly remember what I thought during that scene, and I thought that it was going to be some sort of like he was going to. It felt like a ritualistic thing to me. I thought that what he was doing was going to cause some I was like, oh, he's making a circle. There are all these circles and the shit that she's interacting with. Like, I thought it was going to be like something. And then, nah, she just opens the door and he just types out. I was like, oh, okay. But
and you know,
I was waiting for like some crazy magic shit.
And I really do think the music helps in that scene with the dun, 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 like this, almost like this march, like this is going to happen right now. I think it does actually make the scene more tense, which is ironic considering the same guy did the score for Alien, Ryan.
Oh,
and never heard of her.
I thought that was a pretty good score too.
Never.
You never heard of having a prompt either because you're out of a prompt, Ryan. You gotta pick another prompt from your bucket of the beast, your Avengers bucket of the beast. Dan, what prompt are you sitting on? You're sitting on
tragedy.
Tragedy, and that's going to be a hex, isn't it? That's going to be a double feature.
It's going to be the final double feature of our hex. Yes.
Wow. And then I'm sitting on undead, which is just an insane one to give to me. And I will reveal what we are watching next shortly. But first, RyanRossLIVE, you've picked a prompt out of your bucket of the beast. Would you tell us what it is, please?
Let me get it to focus. I'm excited about this one.
No.
Oh my god.
This is always the most tense time. There it goes.
Sleep.
Whoa. Sleep. Oh, that's
instantly one came to mind, but then
I already know what you're thinking.
I mean,
now, of course I know what Dan's thinking. It's one of Dan's favorite.
I would like to go to the boiler room right now, Dan. I don't know about you, but
I've seen the first one. I've seen the first one, but I don't know. I'm gonna do some research. I feel like that's such a cool one that I feel like I gotta look into some options and play my cards rather than immediately jump. I know you guys both are thinking Nightmare, and we could go Nightmare. But
there's a lot of nightmares. There's even a crossover between Nightmare and Friday the 13th. I mean, which is a fantastic movie too.
Freddy vs. Jason. It could go that way. It does involve sleep.
It does involve a lot of sleep in the plot. But all right, well, Ryan has a really nice one. That's got to be a relief. That's be a relief.
That's a good one.
After Just an Unborn sleep is
fantastic. Well, I'm very excited to hear what you have coming with that. Dan, I'm excited for what you're going to bring to us next week. But right now, I got to tell y'all what we're going to do next week, what we are going to watch before the next show. And I've been dialing up for this because, Dan, you said we had to do an original and a sequel, legacy sequel, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it would be, I can't, this early in the show, the fact that we haven't done it. I don't know if you guys have seen these movies. I genuinely feel like it's necessary for this show to dive into one of the greatest horror movies of all time that deals with undead, and that is Dawn of the Dead, the original Romero 78 classic, and the 2004 remake by Zack Snyder, written by James Gunn. The guy who you have the two guys who ran, like the two DC guys, right? Zack Snyder ran DC forever. Now James Gunn's taking it over. So a nice, crazy little coincidence there. But it's also the movie that I would argue with 28 Days Later created the modern zombie movie, modern zombie craze. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think about how these two movies directly compare. And, did 2004 make or break the original? Did it make it so we can't watch the original anymore? I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting topic of conversation. Dawn of the Dead, the original and the 2004 remake.
Well, I have to imagine I know something about this plot because I've seen Shaun of the Dead. So,
which ironically came out, I think, within a month or two of the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Okay,
and so
interesting.
Shaun of the Dead didn't parody the Dawn of the Dead remake. Dawn of the Dead remake still, I think, like Shaun of the Dead was the capstone on the original Dawn of the Dead. That was like the satire version that just said, okay, we're gonna put an end to that. But then because that movie becomes kind of a horror movie in the last third, it said there's still some meat on that bone, pardon the pun. Whereas the 2004 Dawn of the Dead remake, it kickstarted that, and 28 Days Later kickstarted modern zombies. And I can't wait. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about all of that so much. There's going to be so much zombie conversation on the next episode of This Is Why You Died. Oh, it's going to be so good. So please come back and check out next week's episode. It is going to be phenomenal. But before we get out of here, some business real quick. Dan, tell them where they can find us.
beacons.ai/TIWYD pod. You can find all things the store and where you can listen to us and where you can watch our pretty faces.
That's right. Merch, links, and Patreon.
Patreon.
Hey, Patreon. Hey,
Ryan.
Do we have a Patreon?
We have various tiers on Patreon. You can subscribe at a level appropriate to your interest, and you'll get individual perks associated with each tier, including merch discounts, bonus content, extended editions, and our highest tier are dedicated benefactors who get a shout out every show. So thank you, CG!
CG!
Thank you, CG. Thank you.
And thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the show. And also thank you to all of our listeners, whether you support on the Patreon or not. We appreciate you being here and spending time with us. And the fact that you guys listen and enjoy the show means a lot. So thank you.
Amen. If you've made it this deep in the show, we really appreciate your attention. You know, there's a lot of distractions out there in modern life. So the fact that you're listening to this much of this show means the entire world to us. Thank you very much for that. To all of our dedicated listeners out there. But in the meantime, come back next week. We are checking out Dawn of the Dead, 1978 and 2004. Oh my God, that's going to be an incredible episode. But that being said, we're going to head towards the exits of the theater. I am Sir Ian Dangerous. That's Ryan Ross Live. That's Dan Marcha Madness. We will see you next time right here on
This is why you die.